We are planning to build a social media post generator. How will you start that? Hi everyone, and welcome to the first video of our series. In the previous introduction video, I already explained the whole index where what all we are going to cover in this series. So today I'm going to start with this first module and with the first video where we will get started with OpenAI API today, and we'll look at why we need APIs. So I will go to what all we are going to cover in this video. So in this video, we are going to look at introduction to OpenAI API. Why do we need OpenAI API? What all are possible using APIs, right? Then we'll look at different types of outputs you can generate using OpenAI API. Like you can generate text, you can use their text model, which are general purpose model, reasoning model, image, audio, embedding, everything we'll look at. And then I'll go through their platform where you can create your own API key, how you can get started with your APIs, and everything all around that. And we'll also at the end of this, by the end of this video, we'll also prototype a very good project, social media post generator, and we'll prototype that application in OpenAI Playground. We'll not write any code in this session, but we'll prototype the whole application, GenAI app. Let's start with the first topic. Why do we need API or OpenAI API in this case, right? So you all have used ChatGPT. You know how it can answer any of your questions, right? Now let's say you want to add this feature in your application. Like you want your users, let's say you have an application where people can order food. Let's say you have an application where people can order something like an e-commerce, and you want your users to chat with you, and you want your chatbot to behave like ChatGPT, which can have its own knowledge, which can do something on its own, which can answer query, which can understand queries on its own. If you want any of these capabilities, then you will definitely choose OpenAI API or a similar LLM API for your use case. Now let's move to the next thing. What all outputs I can generate using their API, right? So if I just go and search this, I will find all the APIs that they have, that they provide, right? So you will find, first of all, like they provide a lot of text models like GPT 4.1, 4.1 mini, using which you can generate a lot of any text input, text output, right? Then they have some reasoning models. Reasoning models are to solve complex problems. Let's say whenever you have a complex problem, right, which you want to solve using AI, which needs the problem to be broken down into multiple steps, and then each step needs to be performed one after other. So in those cases, you will need reasoning models like this. And then we also have like real-time API, which can which using which you can interact like a voice assistant. Like you can just talk to the API, and it will return responses as it is. Then they also have these are all capabilities. Then they also have image APIs. They also have audio generation API, using which you can generate audios, and you can also generate images using OpenAI API. And then they also have Assistant API and Batch API, which we'll talk about later. So now let's straight jump into their platform, from where we are going to get all these API keys and everything around it. So you can just search on Google platform OpenAI. You will get that link. So this is the one, platform.openai.com, right? So now once you go there, you will land on their documentation directly, right? So when you will open the link, you will land on their documentation directly. You will find multiple options there. So we'll quickly start with the basics. So like after sign up, you will find something like this, right? After sign up or login, you will find something like this. First thing that we'll do is we'll go into the settings, right? This is where most of the things are, right? And then you will find something on the top which says default project. So by default, OpenAI gives you a default project, but what you can do is you can create your own project. So I will just create a new project called Learn GenAI, right? So this is from where we will start, right? Then once we have created a project, I'll move to the API keys section, right? So now the next most important thing that I need to do is I need to generate API keys, right? So this is the button. You will see this section empty initially, right? But yeah, I already have a few keys created, but this is where you have to create a new key. So you just need to enter this key name for what you are going to use it, like YouTube course. Okay, and the project that we just created. And by default, I'll give all the permissions to this API, right? And I'll create this key, right? Now I need to copy this API key and I have to save it somewhere. Otherwise, I will not be able to use it further, right? Because they will not show this API key to me again if I come back. So I'll have to copy it and save it somewhere safe. Okay, now we have the API key created. So the next section is you will not be able to use your API key unless you have some credit balance in your account. So you can go to credit balance, and if this amount is zero in your account, you will not be able to use it. So the next thing that you have to do is you have to add some balance into your account, and the minimum balance that you can add is $5, right? So you can add $5 into your account. I've already added five, out of which only $2 are left. After adding $5, there are a few more steps that you need to do. Uh, so the first thing is you need to set limits there, right? So you can see that in my account, there is no budget set right now. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to set a budget of how much you want to spend monthly, right? Let's say if you're building a personal project, you can keep the budget to $2 or $3, whatever it is, right? Because it will remind you once this budget is hit so that you know that you're not spending more than that. Then we have users section where you can see all your uses, like where your API key got used, how much you used it, how many dollars you spent, everything. Like in this case, it shows that key I spent $0.01 on 26th of May, right? And but other days I have not spent anything on this, right? Then it will also show you which APIs you have used and everything. We'll learn about this probably later. This is not that important, but this is where you will see all the uses. Now let's jump to the most important part, that is the playground section. So on the top, you will find these four options. So the dashboard is where we are right now, right? And then we have playground. Docs is where you will find all the API docs and all their documentation, right? Then the most important thing today is the playground. I will show you why. Like let's say we are planning to build a social media post generator. Okay. Social media post generator. Okay. So I'm trying to build an application which will help users generate social media post for their brand, right? So this app is going to be used by a social media team of different startups. They will give their input that, okay, my brand does this, and please generate a social media like Twitter post, LinkedIn post, and so on. So it will generate a very good post based on that, right? So this is the project that we are planning to build today. How will you start that, right? So the prototyping that you have to start is going to be here, like in the playground. So we'll start with the prompt section now. This prompt is more like, I'll give you a short example of what it can do, right? So I'll quickly say, let's try this. Hi, what it does. So this more or less works like ChatGPT. When I said hi, it responded with something. So now let's see what all options are there. So the first option that you'll find is, you'll find an option to select the model. So by default, GPT 4.1 is selected, but you can see other options as well, like 4.1 mini, and you will find a description with those models. Like it is 4.1 mini is the affordable one, 4.1 nano is fastest. Then similarly, you'll find these are reasoning model, right? So by default, it's better to go with 4.1. So we'll go with 4.1 model, right? Then you will find some tools, right? Now, do you like you will see that all the tools when you click on the plus icon, you will find MCP server, which we'll not discuss today. We'll discuss some basic tools like web search. Do you want your chatbot to use web search? If yes, then you can add this tool, right? We'll not do that today, but yeah. If you do you want your chatbot to run a code in the background, like it will automatically write some code and it will run that code and it will show you the output. If you want that, you can use code interpreter. You can enable this. And if you want image generation, like if you want your chatbot to generate images also, then you will enable this tool, right? We'll not do all these things today, right? So the next section that you'll find is you'll find an option of system message. So this system message is very important. Let's say if we are building a social media post generator, the system message will look like this. You are a social media expert and you help brands write posts, right? Okay, so the system message will look like this, which is what we want our like assistant to behave like, right? And then user will give their prompt here, right? Chat with your prompt. So, like user will give, my brand is Nike. Can you generate Twitter posts for me? Okay, see what will happen. So it by default gave me some tweets that for this brand called Nike, right? So this is how we are going to use it, right? We are going to write a good system message. So when you are prototyping an application like this, you are building a social media post generator, the most important section are the system message. And obviously user message is not in your control. User message is something that the user will send, right? So you have to improve this system message, right? How will you do that? We'll use ChatGPT for that. So I'll say write a good system message for my application, which helps brands to build to write their social media posts. I'm going. Okay. See, it is writing a good system message. Till then, we'll go to this section and you will find this compare option. So I will use this compare. This compare is not to compare the different models. This compare is to compare different types of system messages, right? How each and every system message is performing for a specific user prompt. Like I will keep the same prompt. My brand is Nike. Can you help me write a I'll just write my brand is Nike. That's it, right? Let's see, because I'm expecting the application to, since it's a social media post generator, so it should automatically give me, uh, I'm posting on Twitter. So it should automatically give the post to me, right? See, we'll use this clarifying question if the brand store is not here. Okay. Now, what I will do is I'll go back to this. I'll paste this in the system message, right? I'll try the same prompt on this system message and this system message. Why are we doing that? We are doing that because we are building an actual social media post generator and we want it to be best at its use case so that it generates very good posts, right? So for that, we need to refine our system message properly, right? And we need to see how it is responding, right? So I'll compare, maybe this basic message is good enough, right? I don't know. So we'll compare these two. Let's see. See, it started generating the post, right? Absolutely, please share with me the specific product campaign. And here also, it is asking the same question. Could you clarify your marketing goal for this tweet, right? Okay, so it is asking the campaign here, but here it is asking for the marketing goal, right? Now, maybe I'll share, I'm launching a new product. Yeah, so it just wrote a message like this. But here it is again asking more questions because my prompt was very generic, right? My initial prompt that I gave, my brand is Nike and I'm posting on Twitter. I didn't clarify anything, right? So this prompt is performing better because it is asking good questions to clarify everything and then it will generate a post at the end, right? But this one already generated a post which is generic enough, right? So we can now simply close this because this is what compare does. It helps you compare different types of system messages. You can compare it with another one, right? Another better one. But this is how we build Gen AI applications for production, where we compare the system messages to see which one is performing better. I'll move to the next section, which is different types of parameters that you will have in the model. When you select a model, you will see that this parameter option, right? So here you will find a few things. The first option is called temperature, right? And if you hover over it, you will find it as control randomness, right? And the second option you will find is max tokens. And then you have top V. So we'll understand these terms also properly, because if you are using OpenAI API, right, it's very important to understand these three terms. So to understand these things better, you'll have to have a knowledge of basic knowledge of how OpenAI works, like how transformer model works, right? So there is a very good explainer here that I have opened up, right? Which helps us understand how transformer model works, right? So I'll show you with a small example. So this is like I'm just oversimplifying things to keep this video short, right? Let's say I want to generate this. I am happy, right? So this is how a transformer model works. When you give it a sentence, I am happy, right? It will predict the next word. What should come after this? I'm happy because, let's say, right? Let's see what it is predicting, right? It is doing all the steps. So when I wrote, I'm happy because, so it predicted that these are the next possible words. I, it, we, the, of, and so on, right? But it also predicted that I am happy because I has a very high probability, like 68% probability. It predicted some sort of words and gave all of them some probability that, okay, there is this much percentage of probability of having I after this, right? Having it after this message has just 9% chance, right? So, and it picked the most probable one by default, right? So this is how a transformer works. It just tries to predict the next word, right? What if, then you will find few options here like temperature. What will happen if I increase the temperature to 2? Let's see. When I'm increasing the temperature, you will see what is changing here. Now you will find that earlier, if I go back, right, when the temperature was 0.5 or something, I has a very high probability. I was at 68 and others were at 9, 7, and so on. But when I increase the temperature, right, this time when I increase the temperature to 5, now I has 26. Others are also close to it, 19, 18, and so on, right? So what changed? So this changed the randomness. So next time, since all of them have almost equal probability, it can pick it also. It can pick V also because they all have almost equal probability, right? So if I do, I'm happy because it automatically picked off because it thinks that all these have similar probabilities, so it will generate more random output. Here we have a better definition. It says it controls the randomness. So what will happen if I set the randomness to very low number? If I set the randomness to a very low number, I'll get the same answer. If I ask, how are you? It will every time return, I am good. How are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. Almost every time it will do the same thing. But if I set the temperature to very high number, right, like 2 or 1.5, it will generate something more creative. I'll just increase the temperature and then I'll ask, how are you? Let's see, right? How are you? Let's see how it is responding every time with a new output, right? Thank you for checking earlier. Thank you for asking. I'm just a bunch of this, right? Now let's see, let's try the same thing with a lower temperature, right? Thank you for asking. See, it almost responded with the same output, right? So now temperature is something we understood that this controls the randomness. So what do you think? What should be the ideal temperature for our use case? Do we need to keep the temperature low or we want it to keep it high? What do you think? Since we want the social media post generator to be more creative, right? We don't want it to be more factual. If we want it to be more factual, then we'll keep the temperature low. But since we want the post generator to be more creative, to generate something new every time, we'll keep this temperature value to high. Then we have something called max tokens. So for that, you will have to understand what is token first. So I'll go back to explainer. This has, I think, better explanation of everything. So when you give any input to to ChatGPT, right? Or a transformer model, it breaks it down into smaller tokens. Like here, if you look at this, I am happy because was broken down into I am happy because, right? So this is 4 tokens, right? So here we saw there were 4 words and the tokens were also 4, but you can have different example, right? So you will see, so it broke the word Subham into 3 tokens, SHUBHAM, right? So this is what we call tokens in terms of transformer, right? So one word is not equals to 1 token, right? What max token does is it helps you control the number of max tokens that will generate in the output. Now let's try to understand the pricing of OpenAI models. For that, I will go to their pricing page. You will find that you have different price for input, like $2 and $8 for output. So what does that mean? If you look at this carefully, you will find that this is $2 and this is $8, and you're priced per 1 million token, right? So if in your input, you are giving 1 million tokens, right? Then you are going to get charged $2, right? And if in the output, if it is 1 million tokens, then you will get charged $8, right? So what if you do not touch 1 million, right? If it's half million in the input, half million tokens in the input, not words. So half million tokens, you will be charged just $1 for that, right? Similarly, if just half million tokens in the output, you will be charged just $4 for that, right? Now, how will you get to know that how much tokens you are using and so on? If you go to the playground page, you will find here that OpenAI clearly says that you have used 270 tokens in the input and 112 tokens in the output, right? And from this, you can easily calculate your cost, right? How much token you are using to calculate an approximate cost of an user message, right? So this is how we calculate the pricing. And this is the meaning of this 270 tokens and 112 tokens. Then you will also see the latency here, that how much time it took to respond. It's 2987 milliseconds. This was all about the pricing. Now, so we built a social media post generator, which is able to ask questions from us when we are giving it when user is giving it an input. It is able to ask good questions to the user about their social media post, and then it is helping them to generate that as well, right? What will be the next part? How we are going to implement that in our application. For that, you will need this. You will see a code option here. So it by default from the playground itself, you can copy the code for doing this in Python, Node.js, or if you want to call the API directly using React or anything, right? You can do that, right? You can do that in in these languages, and you can just copy the code from here and get started, right? Yeah, I think that was all for today's video, where we prototyped a social media post generator. And in the next video, we are going to write the actual code to build this social media post generator. We'll also look at other ways to use OpenAI APIs, like for image generation and audio generation as well, right? And thank you for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to post a lot more content of this series in this channel, where we are going to cover RAG and a lot more. I've already made a video explaining what all we are going to cover in this series. And if you found this video insightful, make sure you share this with your friends and in your college group. Feel free to drop your comments on whatever you think about the video, or if you want me to improve anything, or you want me to add anything. I'm always open for that. And yeah, thank you for watching. See you all in the next video. Bye. Have a nice day.